Hey everybody, this is your Digital Super Saiyan 3 here, back with a new video, and this is my review of the 6-part miniseries Obi-Wan Kenobi, which is now streaming on Disney+. So yeah, this is a 6-episode miniseries, which takes place between the events of Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith and Episode 4 A New Hope. So, yes, this takes place in between parts 3 and 4 really well, as this takes place 10 years after the events of Revenge of the Sith, as we are catching up with what Obi-Wan Kenobi is up to, as Obi-Wan Kenobi, yet again being played by Ian McGregor, or Ewan McGregor, Ewan McGregor, or Ian McGregor, as he's reprising his role years later, and man, he still got it as Obi-Wan, that's for sure. And he's also an executive producer on this show. So the main plot of this series is that Obi-Wan Kenobi is called back into action after a young Princess Leia is abducted by a group of space pirates that were hired by one of the Inquisitors, who is known as the Third Sister. And it's up to Obi-Wan to try to return her to Alderaan, while having to avoid being captured by the Empire, and having to also deal with the Inquisitors, and, of course, his old apprentice, Darth Vader. Yet again played by Hayden Christensen and voiced by James Earl Jones. So yeah, it's Hayden Christensen in the suit, just with James Earl Jones doing the voice of Vader. And of course, this show is just amazingly epic. And not only do we see a young version of Leia, but we also see a young version of Luke as well, because of course they also have young Leia and young Luke in this show. So, while Obi-Wan is having to try to get Leia back home, he's having to not only deal with the Inquisitors, but also his former apprentice. Each episode is unique in its own storytelling. I mean, Obi-Wan does find Leia in episode 2, and manages to get off that planet that Leia was taken to by a group of space pirates, and one of the space pirates is played by Flea. Yes, that's right, Flea, the drummer of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, is in a Star Wars show. And of course, let's talk about the Third Sister for a second. Yes, the Third Sister, who's one of the Inquisitors who gets the most focus and development in this show. She's so hell-bent on trying to capture Kenobi, mostly because she only wants to use Kenobi as bait to lure out Vader. And of course, Obi-Wan and Leia come across a group of underground insurgents, as these insurgents often are not help-out Jedi who were being hunted by the Empire, which were led by a woman named Tala. And yes, if you watch episode 5, which is probably my favorite episode of this entire series, episode 5 is probably my favorite episode of this entire series, as, we get flashbacks to Obi-Wan and one of Anakin and Obi-Wan's training sessions, and watching them spar with each other. And yeah, I love how it's a big callback to a part of Anakin's training that we get a big callback to. Of course, the Third Sister wants revenge on Vader, as she was a Jedi youngling who survived Order 66. And she attempts to try to take out Vader, but Vader quickly beats her very badly. Ouch. Yet, she is too stubborn to die, as she then heads to Tatooine to try to kill Luke to end the bloodline. But she couldn't bring herself to do it, because she would be no better than Anakin to kill a child. Because she admits to Obi-Wan in that same episode, I couldn't do it. And then, of course, let's talk about the way Episode 6's big fight between Anakin and Obi-Wan came down. I mean, yes, Anakin and Obi-Wan fought each other, or Obi-Wan and Vader, sorry. Because he's not Anakin Skywalker anymore, he's Darth Vader. And yes, the big fight between Anakin and Darth Vader in this final duel between Anakin and Vader was really unique. I mean, they're fighting in a freaking canyon as Obi-Wan leads the Empire away from the insurgents. Of course, the insurgents, along with Leia, get away, and Obi-Wan confronts his old apprentice. We see a lot happen in this fight. Regret, like the sadness of regret, anger, frustration, everything boiling down in this fight. Sure, it wasn't as good as their fight from Revenge of the Sith, but this was still a good sequel regardless. Better than their fight in Episode 3. Their fight in Episode 3 really wasn't all that great, but the fight in Episode 6, now that fight was really good. I mean, yes, Episode 4 even had Obi-Wan infiltrate an Imperial base along with Tala to go and rescue young Leia, who had been captured by the third sister. So yeah, with all the twists and turns, what do I think of Obi-Wan Kenobi as a series? Well, actually, I like it, actually. I mean, is it a perfect series? Not necessarily, but I would say I would watch it again, you know. If I ever get the chance to, or if I'm in the right mood, or hell, if I ever am in the mood to revisit some Star Wars, yeah, I would watch Obi-Wan Kenobi again. So, yeah, Obi-Wan Kenobi, like I said, it's a perfect series. Well, it's a really good series. It's not perfect, but it's a very good series. I'm actually satisfied we got more of Ian McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi and Hayden Christensen as Darth Vader, so there's that. I'm actually really satisfied. So, yeah, my ranking for Obi-Wan Kenobi, I gotta give it a 7.5 out of 10. Anyway, this has been your Digital Super Saiyan 3, and I will see you guys next time for my Rugrats Go Wild review. See ya!